Greetings, everyone. Before we begin the video, first, a warning. I do not own any art in this video, such as music or images. I do not own Demonslayer, Naruto, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball Z, and many, many, many others, which I do not own. All artwork with a specific logo on it, specifically a J, E, and underneath it a E and a Z. That artwork belongs to its original creator, G's art. I believe that's how you say it. Forgive me if I'm butchering it. G's Arts with the Z at the end. If you want to thank anyone for the artwork, then thank him on Twitter or whatever he uses. Or whatever they use, sorry. And with all that taken care of, roll the intro. Greetings, everyone. Now, before we start the video, just like I said, any artwork with this logo on it, that belongs to its original creator, G's Arts, spelled without any spaces and with a Z at the end. If you want to say thanks for the art, then please, by all means, go to the original creator of said art. And without any further ado, let's begin the video. Now, for those who are wondering, why the heck is there a picture of Madara in some sort of strange robes with moons around him? Well, this is no ordinary video. This is my first What If Madara. If you like this and want to see more What If Madaras, then please put a blue heart and next to a demon emoji in the comments. But without any further ado, let us truly begin. Death. What a terrible thing. Unfortunately, that's how all things end and yet begin. Madara Uchiha knew this more than anyone, as this was not the first time he had died. He recognized death, and he had recognized death all too well. The sheer agonizing pain of bleeding out to death. Or, in this case, being killed by a goddess. While it was not as long of a death as well. Before. Now, before his death was not necessarily a death. Instead, his death was him pretending he had died, then going under hiding, using forbidden techniques and arts to allow himself to cheat death. Madara Uchiha was certain that the Shinigami themselves would appear out of nowhere and devour his soul, this time for good. He awaited death. He awaited the Shinigami's arrival, but nothing happened. Instead, what Madara saw was a white and black void, as if it were some sort of room that was infinitely large, but Madara was right in front of what appeared to be a half of the room, if it wasn't infinitely large. One side of the infinitely large room was white, the other was black. Madara appeared to be standing on the line between the two halves. Confused, he said, "Where am I? Shouldn't I be dead? Shouldn't I be suffering in the bowel and in the stomach of the Shinigami for all of eternity?" He questioned. As then he saw it, out of nowhere, he saw what appeared to be a humanoid. But this humanoid was weird. It was glowing. Its body appeared to be made out of pure light, both white and black. Imagine the yin and yang symbol, but human. Humanoid, not human. It was weird. It had no face, no eyes, no mouth. It had fingers, no nails, no clothes. It appeared to be just a singular form made of energy. That is, until out of nowhere, a kimono formed around the being. As what appeared to be a sound made from, and a voice made from every single voice Madara had ever heard in his life, spoke. As it then said, "Are you Madara Uchiha?" The voice boomed. As he then said, "I am Madara Uchiha. Who are you?" The creature, or form, simply chuckled and said, "I go by many names. The multiverse, the omniverse, chaos, order, creation, destruction." The multiverse, chaos, creation, order, destruction, oblivion, the void, silence, sound, dreams, nightmares, life and death. Everything and nothing. I go by many of these concepts, but I am mostly known by 3 names: God, Kami, or Nexus. I am nothing, but I am also everything. And your next line is, "Why am I here?" As Madara would then say, "Why am I here?" As then he'd say, "Nani?" For those who know what that is referencing, please put in all caps, For those who know what that's referencing, please put in all caps in the comments. Oh my god. But anywho, Madara would then say, well, what is my purpose of being here? As the being now known as Kami or Nexus said, simple. I brought you here for a talk. As you may know, or may be thinking, you should, as of right now, be being tortured for all of eternity. Is that your thoughts? As Madara would then say, of course. After all, I committed several crimes against life and death alike. So, it's only fitting for me to be punished by a divine punishment, if it is so seen fit. As Kami would then say, well, I hate to break it to you, but you will receive no such punishment. Madara looked at the being astounded and said, what? As he then said, yup, I've done some thinking and I wanted to ask you a question. You see, there's a world. And you see, your world is one of millions, no, billions, no, trillions, no, not even, decillions, no, an infinite amount of worlds. Your Earth is just one of an infinite span of Earths. I call yours World N001. World N014U0. Or Naruto. As the Watchers call it. Who are the Watchers, you might be wondering? Well, you ever have that weird feeling like you're being watched when no one's there? In all truth, you are being watched by what you would think of as beings beyond your comprehension. To me, said beings are normal. No chakra, no anything. But to you, said beings, well, could be considered to be on my power level. Or, well, not entirely. Said beings could be considered to be, believed to be able to beat me. While that is far from the truth. As said beings do not engage in combat, they only watch and or commentate on what they think. And you, Madara Uchiha, have become quite a controversial topic and or subject. The Watchers and the Great Watchers have viewed your life, your story, and your crimes, and your so-called crimes or millions of billions of times over. And so, instead of having you be punished, I and the Great Watchers have decided you, instead of being punished with eternal damnation, you will be punished with, instead of going to heaven or Valhalla, you will be reincarnated. As Madara looked at Nexus with undying anger and said, what? I'm supposed... Hold on. I'm supposed to be either being suffering or having drinks with my old war buddy, Hashirama. As he then said, sorry, bud. You broke the rules. I have to pay your dues. As he then said, damn you. as Madara was, and as a portal appeared to open beneath Madara, sending him flying to somewhere unknown. Madara would then open his eyes, seeing before him what appeared to be a mother and a father. The mother then said, he's so handsome and adorable. As then the male said, what's that mark on his head? It looks hideous. Awful even. Can't believe you created an imperfect child. And the woman and a few other people then said, I think the scar builds character, and I think the mark looks cool, and or builds character. Madara then got a good look at his parents. A woman with, a beautiful woman with somewhat maroon eyes and long black hair and long blackish gray hair. He then saw his mother, a woman with what appeared to be long black hair and brown eyes, while he saw his father, a man with red eyes and brown hair. Madara simply looked at his parents, thinking, well, if I've been reincarnated, I best live up my life to the fullest, huh? Madara, as we skip 2 years later, Madara was a troublesome toddler, to say the least. After learning that he had been reincarnated into a new family and a new world, Madara wanted to, see what kind of family he was born into. Was he born into a poor family who could barely afford food? Was he born into a evil family who tortured the innocent? Was he born into a family of farmers, doctors, psychologists, warhawks? What he found out was none of those answers, but it was a good answer nonetheless. Madara recently found out that his family was called the Kibutsuji family, and his father was a sort of emperor. This meant that Madara was royalty. As he had figured, it would probably be the same thing as growing up as the son of a clan head. So he figured out, it's gonna be nothing that big. He was wrong. Madara was, in his past life, was a clan head's son. A clan head is only a ruler of their family. However, Madara was the son of a emperor, meaning the frickin' ruler of all of Japan. Meaning if Madara wanted something, he could just say, I want food, and about 30 servants would bring him the best food from every province they would find. But despite being born in a privileged life, Madara was determined to not become lazy or dependent on servants alone. In fact, he planned that once he was old enough, he would start training his body and or martial arts skills. As we skip a couple years later, Madara is now at the age of 4. His mother appears to be going into labor, meaning Madara will have a younger sibling. He's ecstatic. He wants to be a protective older brother and not fail like he did with Izuna. Izuna was a great brother and turning point in Madara's past life, but he knew that because he's not an Uchiha anymore, or at least he doesn't believe he has any of his old power anymore. He cannot allow his sister to be harmed, as in his past life, if it were to happen, it would have made him stronger. But now, he knows there is no Sharingans. There is no reward for seeing such pain, for going through such pain. And so, what does he do? Then train himself to protect what he soon finds out is his little sister. Madara Kibutsuji is blessed by Kami with a younger sister. Her name is Muzan, an adorable little thing. Like him, he had long black hair, and she had long black hair, but it was very silky and smooth instead of Madara's, as being all spiky and all over the place, despite him only being 4, and it being extremely short. They could already see the spikes start forming. Madara was also extremely cognitive, or in other words, he was intelligent for a 4-year-old baby. As he looked at his sister and immediately felt a urge in himself to protect her. We skip 4 more years. Madara is 8. His sister is 4. Madara feels a connection with his sister. A connection and an urge to protect her with his life. And so he does that. Sorry about that. And so he does that. Or at least tries to. Being an 8-year-old, he isn't exactly a old war-ending threat. He doesn't have any Sharingans, chakra, jutsus, or anything remotely like that. He hasn't even picked up a sword once yet. But when he eventually does, is when he's at the age of 10. A bandit had hacked their home, wanting jewelry and or riches. The bandit clearly didn't think, and clearly thought he was in some rando's house or mansion. What he didn't know was he was in the household of the Emperor and a extremely OP reincarnated Uchiha. And so, he simply started forcing the servants and or maids, along with the Empress, to give him jewelry. Of course, the Emperor and all the guards were out on a hunt, meaning that there was no one there to protect them at the time. Madara saw on the ground one of the bandits had had dropped what appeared to be a scythe, or sword of some kind. No, sorry, a sickle. Just a gardening sickle, but a sickle nonetheless. He grabbed it, and then he did something unimaginable. He started moving at speeds not even in his past life he was going at. It appeared that his movements created shock waves just from how fast he was going. He literally appeared to be a blur. Even as a 10-year-old, he was able to slice through the bandits like ribbon, and he was able to slice the bandits to ribbons. His mother and the servants were amazed at his skills, which he'd just shown. Madara was also amazed, thinking that he thought that he had no power of any kind. But it appeared that Kami, or Nexus, was nice enough to give him a sort of boost in life. What kind, he did not know. But what he did know was that he should train. 4 years later, Madara is at the age of 14, and his sister is at the age of 10. The two are close, really close. But his sister is very, clingy. And so, whenever he wants to practice on his fighting, he often leaves he often leaves in the middle of the night, and then somehow gets to the roof of the palace, and gets on the roof of the palace and practices alone, without anyone watching. One day, his sister, being somewhat intelligent and being extremely intelligent for a 6-year-old and for a 10-year-old, starts following him. She reaches the roof and hides behind what appears to be a couple of tiles. And there she sees it. Madara is on top of the roof with what appears to be a longer kama, or as the grown-ups called it, a scythe. Madara then does something unexplained. He closes his eyes and starts breathing in a strange pattern. His eyes are still closed, but Muzan can see what appears to be air. She can actually see the air leaving and entering Madara's body. She can see his veins are tightening. His body start functioning or looking weirdly, as it seems as if Madara has left the building and his body is still. It doesn't even look like he's breathing until Madara starts spinning the scythe with incredible speed. As he then, without saying anything, begins using techniques which were considered too advanced even for a grown-up, such as a old general who could be at the age of 58 even. These techniques were extremely advanced, but Madara took it a step further. Despite basically meditating, Madara while his mind was somewhere else, his body was able to use techniques unimagined. As his mouth then opened, and all by its own it said, imperfect moon technique. An imperfect, perfect moon style. First technique. Waxing slice. As then, out of nowhere, what appeared to be a dark blue who formed from the scythe. Surrounding it were these cyan or light blue crescent moon blade looking things that were spinning around. The attack was extremely fast, and Muzan could only see it for a second before she blinked and missed the attack. It was sent flying off the roof of the palace and went towards a giant tree, and went towards a very tall tree. Muzan could see the attack slicing through the air due to a pathway and due to a quite literal rip in the air it was creating. It appeared to be creating shock waves of air pressure as it was slicing through the sky, and then it hit the tree, completely detaching it from its stump, sending it flying into other trees. Before Muzan was about to say something before Madara began and spinning his scythe around, doing even more techniques. And then it happened. Madara, after using all of the techniques, his mind appeared to reach a nirvana-like state. While within this nirvana-like state, Madara's body began to change. Underneath the twilight light and the pale twilight moonlight. And underneath the pale moonlight, Madara's body began to change. His skin began to become pale. His hair became grayish white. His scythe sharpened as the sharp part of the blade seemed to glow. A blackish purple. From his forehead opened a third eye, which was purple with rings in it. His two eyes then morphed into the same thing. His outfit even changed to a more monochrome tone. But the Tomoe symbols on it, instead of staying red, or becoming black or white, or even gray, they became a dark purple. As then dark purple marks that appeared to be in the shape of fire started forming around Madara's body. As Madara is still basically unconscious at this point in time. As he then starts spinning the scythe around so fast that all Muzan can see is the air pressure coming off of it. She can also feel the air pressure as the tiles begin scattering off the roof. But Madara still doesn't awaken until after he stops spinning the scythe and does one final attack before he awakens, as he then says, "Perfected moon style." And perfected moon style. 13th technique. As he then says, waning dragon slice. As then what appears to be a purple and black version of the first attack starts forming. Only this time, instead of it just being a normal attack, it is from around it appears a purple and black energy-like dragon, as it then starts moving in a zigzag pattern and begins lashing through the sky. As Madara's scythe then strikes downward, the dragon then zooms towards a nearby forest and collides with the ground, creating a large explosion. This explosion cannot be heard because it is so far away, but the air pressure can be felt. It blasted Madara awake and his sister almost off the roof. She ran back into her room and began to think, what was that? Madara instantly, when he opened his eyes, his body turned to normal. He couldn't even see a singular glimpse for even a picosecond of what he had looked like. He was confused. His sister, on the other hand, was ecstatic. Her brother had some sort of skill, a power that was beautiful, elegant, amazing. A week later, however, her excitement would be short-lived. Muzan and her family would find out that she would be diagnosed with a uncurable, brand new and mysterious disease. It came from when the doctors said that she had it when she was born, and it would kill her before she reached the age of even 25, or before she reached full maturity. Madara was upset about this. He had failed. He failed to protect his sister even if he was there and protected her. Of course, Kami always has to screw things up. Madara started shouting to the sky, and that night Madara shouted to the sky, "Why, Kami? Why? Huh? Do you like seeing me in torture, in torment? Why?" That night, Madara not only screamed and yelled, but he cried. His tears drifted from his eyes, to his cheeks, to his kimono, down, to the tiles of the roof, down the tiles of the roof, dripping from the roof onto a bamboo water pipe, sliding just gently into the water pipe. I'm sliding just gently on top of the water pipe along for a couple of miles, till they reached a leaf and then what appeared to be a bamboo seesaw, or teeter-totter. A leaf then fell on the other side, this leaf being somewhat heavy. The tears were then sent hurling through the sky onto a branch and onto a tree, then sliding down that branch to the branch of another tree and another and another, repeating this strange pattern for a couple of hours, somehow the tears not drying, until they reached a village. A lonely village with only one person in it. The tears then dripped from the last branch down onto the roof of the person who lived there. Dripping from the roof down onto a bamboo water vent and onto a bamboo water pipe, which then slid down, and the tears then slid down multiple shelves till they reached the forehead of a doctor, or a doctor who was studying. The doctor looked at his and rubbed his forehead, as he then saw that this was not normal rain. It was tears. He wondered who the tears came from. But for the moment, he shrugged. Then, only a couple of moments later, a crow carrying a message came. As it said, the emperor's daughter, Muzan Kibutsuji, has been diagnosed with an incurable disease. Knowing you being a very famous and wise doctor, you have been called to the emperor's court as the last hope for the empress, and for the emperor's daughter's survival. The man and the doctor then looked back down on the tears which he had wiped off of his forehead, which were now on his left palm. He then saw this as a sign, saying that he had to go. And so, the next morning, the doctor made his way towards the emperor's palace, which was quite a ways away. A week later, we see Madara training brutally his body, his mind, and techniques. He's training to fight, as he knows that it is very unlikely for a war to start for no reason, but just in case, he must do whatever he can to protect his mother and father. As he then begins, and as we see the boy training his butt off, he then hears a knock on the palace doors. Madara opens them and sees a doctor, who then says, "I am here about the emperor's daughter. I might have a cure." Everyone is amazed, including Madara, who is a bit skeptic about it, this so-called cure. But if anything can cure his sister, he might as well give it a shot. The parents and guards then escort the doctor to Muzan's room, and after what appears to be many months, the doctor leaves. As he then says, "In the morning I will check up on her, and I will be in my room. I will check up on her in the morning. If all is correct, she should be fine." And so, in the morning, he checked, and all was fine. She was perfectly fine. He was happy, ecstatic, as he then told everyone that he had somehow cured Muzan. But He was called back a week later due to Muzan experiencing some weird side effects. She gained a new hun, and a new allergy, a solar allergy. Whenever she entered sunlight, her skin would begin to burn as if it was on fire. But, according to her, she felt nothing. Pain. She felt no pain, no harm, no fire, no death. She felt no harm. But what she did feel was an endless hunger. And so, she waited. For some strange reason, she waited and hungered for nights without end. The doctor was there trying to feed her everything he could to see if he could fix her predicament. But she hungered and hungered and hungered, not for food, but for something else. Then one night, when everyone in the palace, including Muzan, was told that Madara had left the palace for a month-long hunt, she broke. Muzan snapped what appeared to be chains holding her onto her bed. She dashed from her room and began killing and devouring everyone in her sights. Mother, father, servant, butler, maid, doctor, nurse, it didn't matter. All she saw was meals, appetizers, mere blood bags which she required for her survival. 1 month later, Madara returned to the palace, only to see it stained with blood and death. He was worried and looked across the palace for his sister, but no use. He then left, and eventually he came across a strange phenomenon. Humans with weird slit eyes, which reminded him much of the Kyuubi, but different colors. These humans had fangs, claws, and were fast. They could regenerate from almost anything he did into them, except with only his scythe, decapitation. It worked. Madara Madara was worried for his sister, as he thought she died or was kidnapped by something, and these monsters might be the key to it. And so he began slicing through the entire hordes of monsters, of these strange-looking humans. He slashed and sliced and diced through entire armies or village loads of these creatures. As one night, Madara had a dream of what appeared to be a second him. The second him didn't speak, but used techniques by only whispering in a few words, and appeared to be regulating his breathing in certain ways. Madara then saw this as a hint for what he needed to do. He began to breathe in and out. He began regulating his breathing and even controlling his lungs to the point where it would only inhale and exhale certain amounts of air per breath. And then, as if it just popped in his head, he said, "Imperfect moon style. Second form. Second technique." Second technique. Bloody Night's Rain. He then created 4 large slashes of what appeared to be large blue crescent essence energy slashes, which within each one was around 6 to 5 spinning cyan blue crescent moon looking blades. He then began expanding on this technique, as he then called it the imperfect moon style. For some reason, his mind thought that it was not yet perfect. It was not yet ready. But when he used these new techniques on the monsters, they fell like flies. Well, they were already falling like flies due to his inhuman speeds. One day, however, while using his techniques, he gained yet another strange skill. It reminded him a lot of a Hyuga's Byakugan, but instead of seeing only a human's chakra, through a human to see their chakra, he could literally see through a human. He could see their organs, their blood, their bones. He could see their very inner workings and pressure points, just like that. Madara then called this the see-through state, or a state of mind which Madara could undergo that would allow him to see literally through his opponents, or literally see inside of them. And this was not all. Madara even gained a bright red, flame-looking marking on his body. He called this a empowerment mark, or a enragement scar. And his skills were unmatched by any normal person, and even these monsters were nothing to him. He almost never, and he never had to use his techniques. He only did that so he could still sharpen up on them every now and then. But one night, while he was using his tech, and while he was wandering through the forest on a hunt, and as he had found out that some of these monsters had just raided a village and stolen innocent babies, Madara had taken the authority, or at least he had taken the role to save the babies and the innocent babies. But out of nowhere, Madara saw it. In front of him, he saw what appeared to be a creature or woman with long black hair and a instrument? No, a biwa? The woman simply just strummed the biwa. And then he heard it. Just a single dong noise. And then he saw before himself in what appeared to be a mansion or palace that broke the laws of physics and gravity. He was confused as all hell. As Madara looked around in confusion, but he saw large quantities of these creatures, which he had started slaying all over the place. He then started slashing them into ribbons. As he then said, "Is this all you've got? Huh. Pathetic." Until he reached what appeared to be a platform, and on it was a throne, and in that throne was what appeared to be his sister. As he then said, "Muzan?" he said with a hint of concern in his voice, as she then said, "Madara, I've finally found you. Been quite some time, brother? About, 10 years? About 10 years? Yes. At this time, Madara is around 25 to 26 years old. So yeah, it's been over 10 years since he last saw his sister. And it's been over a couple of years since he last saw his sister. Azun said, "You're alive? What happened to you? The castle, the palace, everyone, you should have seen it. Blood everywhere. So much death, horror. I can't forget it. It echoes through my mind. A scene I see every night." As she then says, "Aw, you didn't like what I did?" As he then says, "What you did? You're telling me that you alone butchered our mother, father, and everyone we ever knew?" As he then unsheathed, and as he then pulled from his side his scythe and said, "What do you mean by this, sister?" As she then said, "They were getting in the way, you know." Ever since I was younger, ever since I was 10 and watched what you were capable of, ever since I watched you enter the pale moonlight and take upon that form that looked like that of a god, I gained an interest in you that I'd not gained in anyone else. I gained an admiration, an obsession, a love. And I saw what you were capable of. You destroyed entire forests with a single attack. And that's when you were like that. The very air pressure almost blew me off the roof, and it was just enough to wake you up. You woke up and reverted back to normal. But I'll never forget that beautiful power I saw. That beautiful, elegant, divine form that you are, and that was you. As Madara would then say, "I don't know what you're talking about." As she then says, it's simple, isn't it? I'm guessing from what I've heard of my minions and slaves, you have learned how to use what you called imperfect, and the imperfect style awake, haven't you? As he then said, how do you know about that? How do you know about the imperfect style? And she then says, because when you were in that pure godlike, and when you were in that pure divine form, what you said was perfect moon style. And then you created an attack so strong and so beautiful that it destroyed an entire forest within one move. Imagine what you could do, brother, if you wanted, and if you were able to use that power while you're awake. You've already gained abilities I can't even comprehend, and I and many of my warriors can't even comprehend yet. Like what you call the see-through, and what you call the see-through state. Isn't that what you call it, right? As he then said, how do you know about that? As she then said, once again, minions. You only, and simple observation, of course, you only hit their vital organs and pressure points, seeming as if you knew exactly where they were. I heard you name whatever you were doing as the see-through state, and it made me think you could see through someone, see their pressure points, weaknesses, organs. As Madara then said, hold on. Why did you do it? Why did you murder our family? As she then said, that's simple, because they were holding us back, because they were useless to us. As Madara then began spinning his scythe around, as he then said, hold on. You're telling me that you used and that you killed mother, father, and everyone we knew since childhood, all because you deemed them not worthy to live? Who decided that you, not anyone else, you alone, were the one able to make such decisions, huh? As she then said, why, of course, me. As she said, each of their words seemed to be creating both bloodlust and shock waves of air pressure, which blasted around the dimension, and which blasted around the palace that was extremely, unexplainably large. As Madara then said, I hate to do this, but I hate you. 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 As he then said, so you've heard about the see-through state, huh? You've watched me use it. Well, now you're going to experience it. You're going to experience it in first person. As Madara's eyes would seem to glow with a purple glint that would be almost undetectable to the normal human eye. As Madara would then hold his other hand, which was not holding the scythe, up to his mouth, as he would then say, "You have 5 hearts, and you have 5 hearts and 7 brains? What are you?" As she would then say, What do you mean? I'm your sister." As he then say, "No, you're a monster. You are a family killing, mother, father slaying, childhood destroying, sister killing monster. You're not my sister. You killed her." Blinded by rage, Madara, while being awake, Madara transformed into it. The marking on his body became dark purple, but appeared to glow. Shockwaves of purple and black energy blasted from his body. His hair quadrupled in length. His eyes became purple with black rings in them as a third eye opened up. His outfit even began to change. As he then said, "Had perfected moon style. Third technique." As he would then say, "Chaos blazing. I'm falling chaos shrine." As then, and from around Madara, what appeared to be 12 extremely large, spinning purple and black, what appeared to be extremely large, black, crescent moon-shaped blades would be spinning around. As the black crescent moon-shaped blades would then become black and purple, and around them a black and purple fiery-like aura. As they all begin moving in and as they'd all be moving towards Madara, then bouncing in and bouncing back outwards, repeating the same cycle over 12 times. Each time, the blades would become larger and faster. As Madara would then end the attack by jumping up in the air and slashing his blade down to the ground, creating 12 extremely large shockwaves, waves of purple and black energy, which sent the 12 blades now moving sideways, cutting through the ground at all directions. And following them from behind was the shockwaves. As Madara began using even more techniques, as his scythe even began to transform into what appeared to be a sword-like form, as he then said, "Sword of Nuno Boko." Think of it right now, as he is so pissed off that right now he is using attacks without even thinking about what he's saying. As he would then create a black and purple glowing and a black blade out of some sort of black energy. Around the black blade was a black and purple fiery aura. The blades slashed and cut through the atoms and air, even the very buildings. Madara began moving at speeds unimaginable and began laughing like a maniac. Until a couple of hours later, Madara began crying while attacking. Now he was back to using his scythe, but still using perfected moon style. A technique that was so beautiful and elegant, it was compared to be created by a god. Instead of seeing Madara as her brother now, from just seeing what he was capable of when actually trying to kill, despite not being in control of his actions and letting his rage cloud his mind, Madara is still incredibly powerful. As Muzan even made a mental note that if any of Madara's attacks were to even touch her, it would be game over. Madara began crying, and Madara then, after a while, broke down. He stabbed his scythe into the ground and began crying. This time it was black and purple liquid tears, which seemed to be liquid fire when they touched the ground or the floor that they were standing on top of. It set ablaze with a purple and black flame. Suddenly, a black portal opened up in front of Madara while he was unconscious, and he simply walked through it while dead asleep. When he had awoken, Madara was back to normal, crying. Now normal tears leaked from his face, as he then swore to kill Muzan Kibutsuji, the monster which murdered his family, including his mother, father, and younger sister, as he refused to believe that Muzan was his sister anymore. And that is where I'm ending this part off. I hope y'all have enjoyed part 1 of what if Madara was reincarnated in Demonslayer. Please like, share, comment, subscribe if you want. I will see you all later. Goodbye, and but wait, before we begin, please tell me in the comments who you think should be the ship. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe if you wanna, and skadoosh.